Chapter 11.3, Adding Integers. So just as a quick reminder, an integer is the set of positive and negative whole numbers, so no decimals or fractions, including 0. So example, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, these are all integers. So the first way that we're going to talk about adding integers is using a number line. So if I have a number line, if I'm going to add a positive number, I'm going to move to the right down my number line. I'm going to increase my number. If I subtract, or if I add a negative, because these two are the same thing, okay, subtracting and adding a negative are the same, I'm going to move to the left down the number line so that my number gets smaller. So let's take a look at example 1, and let's use a number line to add -3 plus 2. I'm sorry, -3 plus -2. So I'm going to start here at -3, and I'm going to add a negative, which means I'm going to move left down my number line. And I'm going to move left 2 times. So the answer to -3 plus -2 equals -5. Why do we need to know how to add and subtract positive and negative numbers? Well, let's think about sports. Football is the perfect example. So example 2, a football team loses 3 yards on one play. On the next play, the team gains 2 yards. So if I lose 3 yards, that is considered -3. I've lost it. They've gone away. I lost ground. So I'm going to start here at -3. It's what I lost. Well, let me back up actually. If I think about starting at 0, this is where I started my first play, and I lost 3. I went 1, 2, 3. I moved 3 to the left. It's negative. But on the next play, I added 2 yards. I'm going to add a positive, which means I'm going to go back this way. 1, 2. I'm going to wind up here at -1. So in the total of those 2 yards, in total, the team lost 1 yard. And they lost that 1 yard because they haven't gotten back to 0. They have not gotten back to where they started. So these two examples used a number line. Let's talk about the general rules for adding integers. And I want you to memorize this. This is hanging on the board at the front of the room, but I want you to work on memorizing this. So, if your signs are alike, they are either both positive, as in 3 plus 3, or both negative, as in -3 plus -3. You're going to add, and keep the sign they share. So -3 plus -3 equals -6. 3 plus 3 is 6. 3 plus 3, 6. So if you notice the number line here, I started at 0, I add 3, and then I add another 3 and get here to 6. If I add -3, I start at 0 and I move left. I add -3, I add another -3, and I'm here at -6. However, if your signs are unlike, you are going to subtract and keep the sign of the number with the greatest absolute value. So here we have 3 plus -4 equals -1. I would solve that by actually subtracting. 4 minus 3 equals 1. but it's going to be negative because negative 4 has a greater absolute value than 3 does. So we keep the negative sign. Okay? Same thing here with negative 5 plus 2. 5 minus 2 equals 3. That's where the 3 comes from. But negative 5 has a greater absolute value than 2, so we keep the negative sign. So let's take a look at examples 3 and 4 and put these into practice. Okay, negative 3 plus negative 7. Negative 3 plus negative 7. If you don't put it in parentheses, make sure that your negative sign is high and small, or put it in parentheses so that you know that it's negative. Now, the signs are alike. I have a negative and a negative. So I'm going to add 3 plus 7 equals 10, but they are both negative, so my final answer is negative 10. I added and kept the sign that they shared. However, down here in this example, I have 8 plus negative 5. The signs are unlike, so I'm actually going to subtract 8 minus 5 equals 3. So 8 plus negative 5 equals 3. Now, 8, positive 8, has a greater absolute value than negative 5. It's 8 away from 0. Negative 5 is only 5 away from 0. So this 3 is going to remain positive. So I will not put a negative sign in front of it because the 8 has the greater absolute value. Okay? All right, that's it for examples. Make sure that you memorize these rules. They are important. Okay? If you have any questions, I will answer them the next time I see you.